I've been hearing this name for quite some time. Gilberto Ramirez, 30-0, 24 knockouts, 6'3", 168 pounder, 6'3". He's good. I like what I see now. I'm T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live. If you're watching the video for the first time, I cover every single major fight live. So this Saturday, November the 15th, 2014, I'm actually late right now. It's 8:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, November the 16th. I was supposed to cover the fight last night, but if you watch my recent video lineup, you'll see there's pretty much a log jam of videos going on. So, long story short, I got to watch him. He fought some guy by the name of Zuniga, whatever his name is, some real dark African-looking Colombian guy. And basically, he pretty much beat him to shit. So, if I'm correct, 259 punches landed, 8th round knockout by Ramirez to 67 by Zuniga. Once again, please subscribe. I cover boxing. If you want to know, my average age demographic for my channel is 35 to 44. So what I do is, my approach is basically, I'm going to talk to you like with your homies. Only thing is, I know a little bit more about boxing than you do. So please subscribe. All my videos, interviews, check my recent video lineup. You know, this is a full boxing channel, from coverage of the boxing shows, boxing documentaries. If there's boxing movies, soon as Manny Pacquiao movie hit the States, I'm going to cover that. Press conferences, interviews. You know, I cover everything, okay? And I do it by myself. So we've been hearing Bob Arum has Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. left for one fight. Al Heyman, the advisor, the most powerful man in boxing, has signed Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. It's been rumored for quite some time now. Maybe that's why Chavez Jr. has been holding out on so long and passing up guys by the name of Carl Froch, Gennady Gennadievich Golovkin, and I think that $2.2 million was just. I do feel that Bob Arum should have opened up the books if that is the case, allegedly. But at the same time, we really won't know until the courts, you know, decide whether Chavez Jr. owes that fight or not. Chavez Jr. is basically saying, I'm going to leave that at the Al Heyman. Now, if you don't know how the Al Heyman system works, before I start talking about Ramirez, the Al Heyman system works is, from what we understand and what we can see, you sign with Al Heyman. Okay, all right. You're going to get that comeback fight. You know, it's going to be an opponent that fans are probably not even going to know. But what that will mean is it will be a fight where you're supposed to look good. So then there's going to be another fight, a somewhat big fight. But at the same time, it's not going to be a fight that the fans want to see. Hell, Al Heyman might even put Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Anthony Durrell on the same card. That's how he rolled. Then the third fight will most likely be a big fight. So we can honestly say we won't see a big fight from him until about 2016. Now, as far as Ramirez is concerned, we've been hearing Bob Arum throwing that name around a lot. Remember, the kid is 30-0 with 24 knockouts. So as far as who has he fought, nobody that you know. But I got to say this, watching the guy, 6'3", you know, listen, he's good. And all his punches, when he throw them, they mean something. So I look at it like this. Arum is like, fuck Chavez Jr. You know, I got Ramirez. I hope Ramirez fuck him up. Simple as that. We saw Chavez Jr. against Brian Vera. He didn't look so good. And despite what we know about Chavez Jr., well, what you know, remember, he started his career at 147. Even though he's a big guy, we don't necessarily know how his power carried up to 168, realistically. So as far as can Ramirez beat Chavez Jr., I see Ramirez as a power punching guy who can keep it in the middle of the ring. His punches are very accurate. He landed at 39% in this fight. So looking at Chavez, he's also accurate, but watching Ramirez, even though he's somewhat of he's not a contender yet. He's right there along the lines of where Keith Thurman is. Keith Thurman may be a little bit hot. So when I look at him and I match him up against the Chavez Jr., who has somewhat of a lower work rate, he's more methodical as far as he's picking his punches. He fires at a high accuracy too. But if you keep Chavez Jr. in the middle of the ring and you show him range like Ramirez can do, then you got some problems. Then you got to see the pressure fighter come out of Chavez, where he basically gets his face beat to shit. And and his heart can get him to win. We saw it almost happen with Sergio Martinez. But if you look at the Martinez fight, you can say, well, basically Chavez Jr. really did win. Sergio Martinez ain't been the same since. So, long story short, Ramirez and Chavez Jr. will be a very big fight, even if you don't know who Ramirez is. Just Google his name. He fought on HBO Boxeo, on November the 15th. And basically, it's a showcase fight. I can see him fighting on HBO next. And as far as the 168-pound division is concerned, of course, they would try to throw, him at a Golovkin maybe sometime next year. Of course. But I'll get into that later. We're going to see if anything else develops with this guy. And, especially we got to see what's going on with the Chavez Jr. contract situation, because right now it's Al Heyman. Al Heyman's got to work with Bob Arum if the courts decide that Chavez Jr. still owes Bob Arum a fight. Bob Arum wants him to fight Ramirez. Heyman's going to come back and say, no, not Ramirez. We want him. So it can probably turn into an ugly situation. But for some reason, Al Heyman, whenever it comes to court and everything, somehow he just gets right out of it. T Street Controversy Live.